When you recognize that you're being affected by negative people, emotions, and even negative spiritual influences, the tendency is to want to push them away, to completely clear them out of your life immediately, to bring in good fortune, positive energy, and peace. And there are many rituals and practices that you can do to initiate that change. And I'll share those with you at the end of this video. However, they don't always work. In my experience, the release of this negative energy is not complete unless you address a few key points first. I am eager to share them with you so that you can bring more positivity into your life right now. I'm Brandy Falcon, owner of Falcon Healing Arts. Welcome to my channel where I help women and their families heal on every level of their being. And lately in my healing sessions, this subject has been coming up quite a lot of needing to release negative energy, cutting cords with people who are having a negative influence in the client's life. And I've even had a few opportunities where we have cleared spiritual entities from their homes. And because this is coming up quite a lot, I have a feeling that there's many of you who will appreciate this advice. It's definitely interesting to me too, so let's get into it. There's 3 main keys we're going to go over about how to release negative energy from your body, from your energy field, from your space, from your life. And after I go through these key points, I'll share some easy practices that you can do to help with this release. But that's really going to be the icing on the cake. These 3 points, again, are much of the work here. So key number 1 is to understand what is attracting this negative energy. Like attracts like. So negative energy is usually attracted to negative energy. And the word negative, of course, is subjective, but generally we're all usually talking about unpleasant experiences where there may be disempowering relationships, maybe feelings of dread, emotional distress, even violence in our lives, and traumatic experiences. It may show up as bad luck or misfortune, and even with nightmares or recurring dreams. The common themes to all these experiences is that typically alongside we are experiencing low vibration emotions that become part of our personality oftentimes, so we may not even notice it, that we are dipping constantly into fear, guilt, shame, or feeling like we have no power or control over our lives, and these things are simply happening to us. So it's very, very important to recognize that this is all about resonance. Even though this is uncomfortable, we are resonating with these experiences that we're living, even though we consider them to be unpleasant and negative. And I talked about this quite a lot in the video you may want to revisit after this one about raising your vibrational frequency. So if you're experiencing something negative and unpleasant in your outer world, chances are that there is a reflection of that happening in your inner world that is attracting it in and leaving you vulnerable. It's important to do some soul searching to figure out a couple of things. Number 1, why you are aligned with this negative energy and these lower vibration emotions. Try to figure out how to shift that. And then also to build up your personal power and establish firm boundaries. If you don't know how to do this, please get help. This is what I do, so please reach out if you need my support. Key number 2 to releasing negative energy is that the intention to release needs to be sincere. You need to really want to let it go. And some people may get really defensive about this when asked, saying, of course, I don't want this negative energy in my life. Why would I ever call this in? But subconsciously, again, if you do some soul searching, it is important to dig deeper, because on a subconscious level, it can actually be serving you. You may actually be benefiting from having this influence in your life. Is it because you're getting attention? Maybe you like the concern that you're getting from other people as you're bringing this up. Is it that you're needing someone or something to blame for your current situation? Because sometimes we do use others and even the energy around the situation as a scapegoat in order to avoid doing the work on ourselves. If this negative energy has been there for a while, it's likely very familiar to you. And sometimes it can feel like you don't know what life would be like without it. So there can be some grief around releasing this energy completely, especially if it's related to relationships. Maybe this energy is keeping you connected to an ex-lover, a family member, and it doesn't mean that we're not able to love them anymore, or even look fondly on the time when we were together. This is more about establishing a boundary now and saying, no, I don't want to have this experience anymore. I want to change the relationship and just leave it at that. That the energy around it does need to change. It doesn't mean that they are going to completely disappear, although that may happen. We need to be open to whatever change is going to come as you're now calling in more positive energy. If this intention is not sincere, the energy is going to come back. So no matter how much work you're doing with the rituals and practices, even doing deeper shamanic work, there's only so much practitioners can do if the client is wanting to keep it. And key number 3 to releasing negative energy for good is to make sure that you are doing it compassionately. We need to see these experiences of releasing this energy from a different vantage point, from a higher vibrational perspective, from an open, loving state of heart and mind. I don't even like talking about these polarities so much that of course we experience in this human life, but since our outer world is related to our inner world, when we're talking about good and bad, we're then also reflecting on how we are on the inside. And I don't think it is helpful that when you're working with this negative energy to then look at ourselves as being negative and bad and evil or even sinful. And of course, there is a lot of negative programming around that with the influences in our lives. Instead, I think it's more helpful to reflect on what you want to experience, that you don't want to be in a state of fear and guilt and shame, that you do want to have more power and control in your life. And that should be the motivation for making these changes, not that you don't want to be labeled as bad. So it's helpful to actually think of this as moving into more of an expanded state instead of a contracted, more egoic one where we're worried about our problems. Instead, expanding out, and as we're releasing this energy, it's showing us that there is something else we can experience instead. You can see light the best in a dark room. So just reflecting on that we have these polarities within us. We're always going to be oscillating between the two, but the more you experience these higher vibrational states, you're going to be attracting in more of that energy. There needs to be that desire to move into those states and to come from a compassionate place when you are releasing this energy. So with the psychopomp work, I've been doing it for the whole 6 years that I have been studying and practicing shamanism, but it's mainly just been in my home or when I visit somewhere and feel that there are influences that may need some help. And honestly, it does feel intrusive when you feel that there is some energy in your space that is not yours. But still, as a practitioner, that's not how we approach this transition. We can't help these souls move to the lower world or the upper world by banishing them. It does not work that way. We connect with these spirits. We offer them a better way. Oftentimes they have no idea that they can go somewhere where their soul can be at peace. So it's connecting with them that way, offering them something better, having strong compassion for them. So I have just as much interest in the well-being of these spirits transitioning as I do with the person I'm helping here in this ordinary reality. And that is why it works. So once you have these 3 keys down, once you have done this inner work to really shift your vibration, so to take some responsibility for what you are now perceiving in your life, then you can start to do these energy clearings. You can be diffusing your space or anointing your body with essential oils. You can be using crystals. You can be smudging with sage or palo santo, so burning those herbs to purify your energy field and the space around you. My favorite thing to do is cord cutting, and I actually do this in a different way than I have seen taught before. I just offered instruction on this in my Free Your Authenticity challenge, and you could check out that video here. I highly suggest you do the whole challenge because it is going to help you with that personal power aspect of needing to lift your vibration. So check that out, friends. Let me know if you have any questions about this in the comments below. Please give me a like, share it with a friend who could really use this support, and consider subscribing to this channel if you would like my weekly videos on how you can support your physical, mental, energetic, and spiritual health. Thank you so much for joining me, friend. Well wishes.